So hello and welcome to this episode of Carmen's Coaching Corner. And quite honestly, I have to pinch myself today because I have with me Christy Whitman, who is my mentor, my teacher, my coach. I have been following Christy for such a long time, and it was on my vision board to have Christy Whitman on my show years ago when I started to think about doing these videos. So thank you so much, Christy, for being on this show today.
Oh, I'm so grateful, and I'm so touched by your honoring. So thank you. Thanks for I'm adoring you. I always love you, and I'm so grateful for you asking. So thank you.
And thank you for saying yes. I couldn't believe it when you said yes, to be honest with you. I was like, oh my God, yes. So I'm really privileged to bring Christy to my audience, to the people that watch these videos, and this is a real special gift for all of you. So let me tell you a little bit about Christy. So Christy is a transformational leader, a celebrity coach. She has a number of books out that have been #1 New York Times bestsellers, and her latest book is The Quantum Success, 7 Essential Laws for a Thriving, Joyful, and Prosperous Relationship with Work and Money. And this is the official version that went out, but I was one of the lucky ones that got to read it before it went out everywhere. And this is my version that I use. And as you can see, there's tons of different tabs that I refer to because it's just it's packed full of information and tips and meditations and wonderful tools that you can use. Christy's also appeared on the Today Show, the Morning Show, in countless magazines. So I have a really prestigious guest for you today, and I just love that you're on the show. Christy's also the CEO of the Quantum Success Coaching Academy, which I'm very proud to say I was certified through. And I got my certification in 2018. No, I'm lying. 2017.
Don't lie on your own show.
Yeah, so she's and that's a year-long coaching program. And honestly, it was almost like going back to school, being on your Quantum Success Coaching Academy, because there's homework assignments, there's pod calls, there's loads of books to read, and it really made me feel like I was doing something extremely comprehensive, which your program is a really super comprehensive program. And anyone thinking to become a coach, a life coach in particular, highly recommend the Quantum Success Coaching Academy. And I'll stick a couple of links under the video once we're done with this video today. So Christy, again, thank you so much. Is there anything about your bio that I missed that you'd like to add?
I don't think so. One thing that someone made me aware of the other day is they said to me, "You're a master certified law of attraction coach." And I said, "Yeah." And they said, "Well, how come you don't have that in your bio?" So I don't know. There it is.
Well, you just said it. So that's fantastic. So what I'd love to talk to you about today, Christy, because I know that you've been doing this for decades and you are a master at this, and you're very much focused on helping people come out of lack and moving to abundance. And I know for me especially, when I was going through the QSCA program, I had no idea how much my focus was on lack. And through that journey with the cohort that I was in and the wonderful teachers that I had, and then going to your seminar at the end of it, I really my mindset completely shifted, and every time I catch myself in lack, I'm like, no, I shift my focus to abundance. So what can you share with my audience about lack and abundance?
Well, I lived my life in that mode for a very long time. So no matter what I accomplished, no matter how good I looked, no matter if I had money in the bank, no matter if I was dating someone, it didn't matter. Nothing was ever good enough, and nothing was ever enough. I never felt like I was enough. And so what I realized along my journey of learning about the universal laws is that we are created from a place, and our divine birthright truly is of abundance. And that when we are aligned with that truth of abundance, we're in alignment with the divine creator and, all that is, and the potential, potential and possibilities of everything, truly. And so, and what happens is, as I started to study all the laws, but I talk about obviously the 7 essential laws, as you well know, Carmen. one of the laws, people talk about law of attraction. What you send out comes back. The Secret made law of attraction more well known. I had been coaching and applying law of attraction well before The Secret came out. So when I was actually coaching people, I didn't have to educate them on that law anymore because The Secret did it. So it was like more people were interested. But what I find to be true, and what I've found to be true with clients in, certifying over 3,000 coaches since 2008, and even in my own personal life, is that law of sufficiency and abundance is so much more important to understand and apply and know, because it really, when you align with abundance, everything else falls in place. So the 7 essential laws, when you're in alignment, everything falls in place. And this is the most important law to understand, because what most human beings, they are living in a place, in a mindset, in a set point of lack and limitation. And we're trained as kids, most of our parents and generations before them, they grew up in the Great Depression. They lived in a time where there wasn't as many opportunities. They didn't have the internet. They didn't have the kind of opportunities. We're now in the age of abundance. They were not. But all of their programming and what they said, well, that's not possible. And who do you think you are? And, girls can't do that. Or, all the limitations that were put on ourselves because they wanted to warn us, because they cared about us, not because they were trying to be malice or anything. But that's how we got programmed. And most people, even in our advertising today on TV, it's like, unless you drive this fancy car or you have this certain night cream, you're not going to be enough. And so it's in our society, it's in the masses, and most of us, whether we're aware of it or not, we have this perspective of limitation, of lack. And that comes from our conditioning, it comes from our programming, but it's completely out of alignment with who we really, really are. Right. And if you look at the law of sufficiency as a spectrum, right, there's on one side, there's lack. And if you ever feel bad in your life, you're in lack. Right. And it's important to know that emotions just don't come out of nowhere. Thoughts just don't come out of nowhere. They have a correlating relationship. So if you're thinking thoughts of lack, you are going to feel bad. That's just the way it goes. And then those bad feelings are going to feed into more of the thoughts, and you get in this lack loop, right? So what does lack look like? It looks like competition, comparison, jealousy, envy. It looks like looking for what's wrong and bad instead of what's right and good. It looks like, being greedy, being in a place of, really closing down your love, not doing your best, not being generous. I mean, I could go on and on, as you well know. There's many different aspects that most people don't understand or know how that's in lack, right? Thinking that, oh, that's not possible, or who am I to do something like that? All of that's in lack, and it doesn't feel good to an unlimited being, which is who each one of us are. We have a divine being that breathes each one of us. And so the doorway into abundance, to get on the other side, because you have abundance on one side, or, joy and passion and excitement, all the good things that kind of come over here from those high positive emotions. The doorway into that is of satisfaction, is of sufficiency. And so when you can at least feel and look for the positive aspects in your life, if you can be satisfied with who you are now, what you've accomplished, all those different things, you're now tipping the scale, and you're now moving into the direction of abundance versus being in lack. And abundance always feels good. Lack always feels bad. And that's how you know if you're in lack or abundance, by the way you feel.
Yeah, exactly. And as you were speaking, Christy, I was really thinking about my mindset in my corporate career, particularly a few years ago when I first discovered you and your videos and your teachings. And every day I would wake up and my first thoughts would be about lack, right? My project, because I was a project manager back then. So it would be, my project isn't going to go well today. And what kind of... this is, just focusing on all the things that could go wrong rather than thinking about oh, actually, some of this stuff might go right. And I have experienced things that have gone right in my past, in past projects, and they've just been very smooth. But my mind just was never on that aspect of it. It was always on this lack aspect of it. And it affected how I managed my projects, how I managed the teams that were on my projects. It affected my whole demeanor, how I would show up with my family and my loved ones, because I would come home and all I'm thinking about is black.
Yes.
In terms of my career and stuff like that. So, and even though it paid me very well and all those kind of things, when I got home, that would just translate into how everything, how I was interacting with my family, and all that kind of stuff. And I just really wasn't a very nice person to be around during that time. And I'm so grateful that I learned about the law of sufficiency and abundance, because it really gave me a totally different perspective on that. So, so is there a particular tool that you can share, Christy, that helps somebody when they're catching themselves going in that loop, that lack loop, to get them out of it, shift them out of it, and put them into a loop of abundance, or shifting that needle to abundance?
Absolutely. As you know, I have many, many tools. One of the things I want to say though is, and you're so right, it's like when people wake up in the morning, the first thought they have is, oh, I didn't get enough sleep. It's like, that's the first thought. Oh, I'm still tired. I didn't get enough sleep. Or, oh, now I don't have enough time for breakfast. Or, oh, I'm going to be late for work. Or, it starts off the first thought is lack, when that is not natural to who we are. So to answer your question, if you wake up in the morning, you have that thought, who controls your thoughts?
We do, right?
Right. Who controls your emotions, right? So it's up to us to realize that thoughts are not real. They are just become habitual. And, thoughts that you've been thinking for a long period of time, even though you've been conditioned, there are other thoughts, though. So there's the law of polarity, right? If the thought exists that there's not enough time, there's a whole total different dimension in reality where you actually do have enough time.
Yes.
Or, if something's going to go wrong in your project, there's the other dimension that things are going to go really, really right. And so it is looking for the polar opposite of that thought, right? So it's really pivoting in your way of thinking. So one way I like to do that is look at where could I find satisfaction or sufficiency in this moment? Right? When it's like, I've got to do more. I've got so much more to do. And this just isn't enough. And, in that rat race of like, oh, I got to achieve. Or, oh my God, that girl on Instagram, she's just killing it. And she's got this and she's got that. And then our minds go into comparison instead of sitting in, oh, she's so great and I'm so not. Look at the places, instead of looking at comparison, look at how can that person inspire you? So looking at that person, go, wow, she's really just serving a lot of people or helping a lot of people, or, she's really doing this or that, or she found the love of her life. I can too. Mm-hmm. And that's where then we get into beliefs, but we have to start pivoting our thoughts away from the negativity and the lack, and start pivoting onto what we do want. As you know, Carmen, I have tons of programs like the Law of Sufficiency and Abundance, the Abundance Principle Coaching Program, where I help you become just even aware, because in order to shift in consciousness, you have to be aware, you have to understand, and you have to know. So when you became aware that there actually is this thing called lack and limitation, and there's this thing called abundance, and as I took you through the different points of what it means to be in lack and what the polar opposite of that is. So instead of being competition, you're in inspiration. Instead of looking for what's bad and wrong, you look for what's good and right, as examples. When you have that awareness, and then you have the understanding of, ooh, yeah, that feels bad, but this feels good. Yeah. This feels disempowering. This feels empowering. There's that understanding. And now when the moment happens, you have the knowledge to go, oh, wait a minute, what I just said, like I can't afford that. Oh, that feels so bad. Wait, I'm going to pivot. I'm going to reframe that and say, that's not a financial priority for me right now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I use that a lot. I do. It's like, you want things, you want clothes, you might want shoes, or, things like that. And I just have to tell myself, Carmen, that's not a financial priority right now. And saying it like that, the language that you use can be so, it's like you were saying, so empowering versus disempowering, right? Saying that you can't afford it makes you feel very disempowered. Whereas you're saying it's not a financial priority right now, you still feel empowered and in control of what's coming out of your mouth and the thoughts that you're thinking and the energy that you're giving back to yourself in terms of your emotional vibration and your emotional energy. And I just love that. And people don't realize that we have 60 to 90,000 thoughts every single day, right? And about 95% of those thoughts are the same as what we had yesterday. So by you sharing with whoever's watching this video that if you're catching your thoughts, and the first thing, as you said, is becoming really self-aware about what thoughts you're having, and are they in lack or are they in abundance? You know what, and you know by that how you feel, where they sit, right? And being able to just get into a new habit, because you said they were habitual, getting into that new habit of thinking different thoughts, right? Because I think I remember learning from you, it takes 17 seconds to move, 17 seconds to move through an emotion or something like that?
It takes 17 seconds to shift a vibration. It actually takes 90 seconds to actually fully express and feel an emotion. But it takes 68 seconds as you shift off the negativity. It takes 17 seconds to shift vibrationally. Right. And then compounded with that, it takes 68 seconds to actually shift the energetic vibration of what you are attracting. So if you are staying on a thought and then you shift that thought, it takes 17 seconds to actually get into a different vibrational stance from abundance to lack. Right. And then staying in that space, that's when you get the momentum of the universe working on your side. Mm-hmm. When you're processing an emotion, it takes about 90 seconds if you really just feel the emotion. So I hear people all the time, well, I don't want to go for my dreams because I'm afraid that I'll be disappointed. So what? It's energy. Go for your dreams. And if you don't hit it, you're going to have to feel disappointment for 90 seconds. Big deal.
But that's so true, right? So I know when I'm teaching my classes, I share, again, the wisdom that I've learned from yourself and other teachers is like, you get to choose how long you stay in that emotion, right? Yep. So you get to choose whether you wake up every day and feel anger from something that happened to you 5 years ago, or something that happened to you at work by the water cooler yesterday, right? That somebody said something to you and it just triggered anger in you, or a negative emotion. So you always get to choose how long you stay in that place and then shift to something that makes you feel better.
Absolutely. Right? That's really becoming an energy master of your own body, of your own, well-being, of your own abundance and success in your relationships, is that we all have free will. And we all have this divine connection with abundance, with the source of all that is. And most people are disconnected from that source. That's why, when you were saying that you weren't a very pleasant person to be around, is, there's teachers out there for years that have said, oh, kill the ego. Why would you want to kill the ego? It's our personality. And when you think about it, again, there's the spectrum. On one side, you have those people that are very disconnected from this source. And so what happens when they're in fear, they're in doubt, they're in disbelief, they're in limitation and lack, they're going to be pretty bitchy, and they're not going to be fun to be around. And, they're going to snap, and they're going to be impatient, and, all the way to like the worst type of, characteristics that you could think in, or the worst behaviors that you could think a human can do. Right. But then on the other side, it's like when there's that alignment with your divine, the joy that you feel, and the enthusiasm and the passion and the fun and the success and the abundance and the creativity and all that, the divine does that through the human being, but it still needs our personality, because last I checked, you're very different than I am. We're very similar. We both have 2 arms, 2 legs, 10 fingers, 10 toes, a brain, a nose, all that stuff. We have similar things as far as traits, but at the end of the day, what makes up you, Carmen, is very different than what makes up me, Christy. And we all have these differences. And why not try to kill off the ego? Let's embrace them. but let's get into alignment so that we can be that illuminated person in abundance, connected to all that is, to our pure potentiality, and then be on this side where you're more creative and you're joyful and you're in a place of service and you're very generous and giving and fun and, you know, full of love. I mean, that's really the difference.
That's so true. That's so, so true. You're making my mind just go, ooh. Yeah. And there's something you touched upon earlier, the whole comparison thing. You know, back in my very early in my career, I was the comparison queen. I would always be comparing myself to others. And it started from a very young age. You know, I would compare my body to other women, other girls in my class body, especially when I was going through puberty and stuff like that. And then when I went into my career, I would be comparing myself to how successful somebody else was on the team or elsewhere in the organization and where I was. And I just love the things that I've learned over the last few years around. And again, this was one of the teachings that you teach, Christy. It's about be inspired. Don't compare, because to compare is to despair. Be inspired. What can you learn from that person? How can they teach you? And how can you then model that if it's something that you want to bring into the world as well? So I'm really grateful that you shared those teachings, because it really takes you out of being jealous and then feeling that you're a failure, because again, this is lack, right? And then going into, well, I'm not there yet, but I will be one day, right? And how can I show up and be of service to others? And I think Wayne Dyer, I was listening to something with Wayne Dyer, and I know that you're one of the authors that have been compared to somebody like Wayne Dyer, and he was saying that we always wake up and we say, what can I get? What can I get? What can I get? And he says, why don't you wake up instead and say, what can you give?
Yeah.
Right. And when he said that, I was like, oh my God, it just reinforces all the teachings that I've had, you know, through my career of becoming a coach. And you very much, I believe anyway, very much teach that philosophy is about how can you be of service to others, because when you're in that place of being of service to others, you just feel more abundant, right? You feel more joy, right?
Absolutely.
And
it's our divine nature to want to give. It's like the divine creator gives, and it's us. It's up to us. We are two things. We are energy receivers and we're energy generators.
Right.
So, and not from a, oh, I got to give so much. Not from a martyr place. Not from I have nothing left to give and you want everything. Well, don't give if you got nothing to give. You got to fill yourself up first and give from the overflow. Right.
Yeah.
So, and I love Dr. Wayne Dyer, and I'm grateful for the times and interaction that I had, and I still now have interactions with him through the Council of Light, which is amazing to be able to have his wisdom and to speak through with other high ascended beings as such as Wayne. So I'm grateful for that. But you said something, I know what you're talking about. I too was like in huge female competition. And I went through my own journey of really having to shift that habitual way, because my mom used to pit my sister and I against each other. She was the good one. I was the bad one. She was the good student. I was the bad one. It was like always there was some competition, you know, I'm the fashion one she doesn't care about. There was always something. And I had to stop because that's how it's so divisive. And I just was with a family member this past weekend and was saying something about my kids and how Alex is this and Maxim is that and Maxim is so this and he's just, he's so wonderful and he's so this and he's just like Frederick. And I'm like, so what? Alex and I are poop, you know? And it was like, people just don't even understand what they say. And I actually had my sister-in-law say something like this one time. Alex is just, you know, he's such a handful, but Maxim, he's just, there's something just so special about him. I'm like, you know, yes, I agree with you. And there's something really special about Alex too. They're both very special. Yeah. Alex is, but Maxim, there's just something. So, you know, Alex is like you and Maxim is like Frederick. And I'm like, Like, did that actually just come out of your mouth? And what I have realized is that people that are not conscious, they say unconscious things. People that are in lack, they have to speak of lack. They have to speak of comparison. And I have learned to so not take that personally.
Yes.
But it does bring up that childhood pitting against one next to the other, because I grew up my whole entire adult life being like that. And I remember having that a realization and awareness that I am in female competition. I even started to write, we finished actually, my co-author in Taming Your Alpha Bitch, a book called The Fairest One of All on female competition, but I refused to release it because one of us was not out of that space of female competition. And it was out of alignment for me to release a book that wasn't in integrity, because, you know,
Right.
I'm all about integrity. And so, you know, it is so divisive, and people don't realize how it ruins relationships. It ruins businesses. It ruins friendships. It ruins marriages. I mean, it is so divisive, and good for you for having that awareness and shifting that, because no good can come out of, oh, her breasts are bigger than mine. Oh, her butt's smaller than mine. Oh, her backhand's better than mine. Oh, her yoga downward dog. I mean, I used to do that in yoga. Oh, my downward dog. I'm in yoga, and I'm comparing myself to somebody else, right? Oh my God. Oh my God. She prays better than I do. You know,
You're discharged.
yeah. So, I mean, anything, when you're
Yeah.
playing that game, it doesn't matter if it's diamond ring size, or if it's your size of your bra, or how wonderful your husband is. I mean,
Right.
if life is a comparative game, it is so miserable, because
Oh my God.
yeah, it's just, there's always going to be someone prettier. There's always going to be someone smarter. Or if you actually deem yourself as the pretty one or the smart one in the room, it's only short lived. And it also doesn't feel good, because now you're like this ego power, which doesn't feel good. It's not true spiritual power.
Yeah, and you just made me think about, again, back in the corporate world, you know, we sometimes get this feeling, this perception that we have to be the expert in the room all the time. And I know from my project management background, there were times very early, again, when I was very early, like 20 years ago, very early in my career as a PM, where I felt like I had to know everything. And I was the expert in the room. And it was so liberating when, again, I became more self-aware and awake, that to walk into a meeting where I'd just been given this project that was worth thousands and thousands of dollars for a top client and all this kind of stuff, to just turn around to the people in the room and go, I don't know nothing about any of this. I don't know how the system works, and just be very vulnerable and just be completely open and not feel like I had to be the expert, because I knew that the wisdom in the room with me, they were the experts on some of this stuff, and I didn't need to be. I just needed to get this project through the completion and learn from the wisdom, the greater mind in that room, the collective energy in that room, the higher source, right? As to how we were going to get this done together and collaboratively, rather. So going from that competitive mindset and feeling like that was my credibility, that's where my credibility was, to this collaboration mindset where, you know, there's a ton of wisdom in the room, let's just tap into it, right? And it was just, oh my God, my whole being just totally became so much lighter. And I think that's kind of what you're talking about as well, right, Christy?
Absolutely. I mean, it goes for any aspect of our lives. You know, if we're feeling that we need to dim on the reverse side, if we feel we need to dim our own light because others are jealous of us, that's, you know, others' jealousy of us is not our responsibility or our, you know, our business. You know, it's like, you know, you were in a mentoring program with Lisa Nichols and I, right? And it's like Lisa Nichols is saying, I'm going to shine my light. And if it's too bright, here's some sunglasses, because I'm not dimming my light. You might need some sunglasses, but I'm not dimming it. You know, I love Lisa. But it's so true. It's like, you know, if we're sitting there like, ooh, I don't want to play big, or I don't want to play full out because other people will be jealous of me and try to take from me, or all this. What kind of way is that too? You know, it's not a way to live.
It's really not a way to live. And one of the things I, you know, talk about is teach others how to fish, right? You don't have to hold all this knowledge inside. Share the knowledge, teach them how to fish so that they can become even better at what they do, so that they can shine even brighter.
Exactly.
And ultimately, that light just shines back on you anyway, right? And I think that's such a huge lesson that I've learned in the last few years of taking this path of being a coach. And I truly, truly, truly thank you, Christy, for everything that you have shared with me, how generous that you have been with everything that you've done in your programs that I've participated in. I'm just so, so grateful to you.
Thank you, Carmen. I was so received, and it's moments like that I'm like, that's why I became a coach. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. So as always, everybody who's watching this video, to your transformation and growth, Carmen and Christy.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for watching.
To get started, please call or email me or schedule an appointment on my website.